In this lesson, we're going to look at multiplication of real numbers, and we're going to focus primarily on the signs. You're still going to have problems that have fractions or integers or decimals in them, but you want to look at the signs so you can tell if an answer is going to be positive or negative. So the product of a positive number and a negative number is negative. In other words, if the signs are different, your answer is negative. The product of two negative numbers is positive. So if the signs are the same and you're multiplying, your answer is going to be positive. The product of an even number of negative numbers is positive, and the product of an odd number of negative numbers is negative. So let's look at some problems real quick, and the first thing I want to do is just go through and identify the sign of the answer, not even do the math. Let's just identify what the answer or the sign of the answer is going to be. So in the first one, I have negative 5 times 4. Well, I know that that's going to be negative. Number 6, I have a positive and a negative. Signs are different. My answer will be negative. Number 7, I have a negative times a negative. That answer is going to be positive. The next one, a negative and a positive, so my answer will be negative. Number 9, both of them are negative, so that'll be a positive. And the last one, they're both the same sign, so positive. So a lot of times when I'm doing the math, I'll just identify the sign right away, and then I don't have to worry about it, and I can concentrate on the computation. So if we were to go back, the top one, negative 5 times 4, we already said it'll be negative, and 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times negative 5, well, we know it's negative because the signs are different, and 6 times 5 is 30. Negative 8 times negative 7, signs are the same. My answer is positive, and 8 times 7 is 56. So you can see kind of what we're doing here. Identify the sign, and then just go back and do the computation. These rules, these sign rules, are going to be true whether you're dealing with integers, decimals, or fractions. So let's look at, here's some fraction problems. So if we look at the first one, we have a negative times a positive, so I already know that my answer is going to be negative. When you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 5 times 3 is 15. 9 times 10 is 90. And then I can reduce these as well. And you always want to put fractions in simplest form. The other way that you can do this is to do some cross-canceling. So again, I know my answer is negative, so I'm not even going to worry about the sign. If I look, I have 5 and 10, I can do some reducing before I multiply. One time, so 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 twice, and then the other two numbers, 9 and 3, 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So now I've reduced before I've multiplied. So you can either multiply first then simplify, or you can cross reduce and multiply. So 1 times 1 is 1 over 3 times 2, which is 6. So our answer is negative 1/6. You can put the negative floating in the middle like that, or this is the same thing as negative 1 over 6. It's also the same thing as 1 over negative 6. All three of those mean the same thing. So now let's look at number 13 down here at the bottom. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers being multiplied together. I'm just going to look at the signs. I have a negative times a negative, so that's a positive. I have a negative times a negative here, which is a positive. And so a positive times a positive is a positive. So now that I've identified what the sign is, I can focus on the numbers. I know it's going to be a positive number. 2 times 5 is 10. So this is actually positive 10. Negative 8 times negative 1 is a positive 8. 10 times 8 is going to give me 80. Now you could, instead of grouping them, which I kind of did, and you can do that in multiplication, you could just multiply left to right. So negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. 10 times negative 8, and then times negative 1. 10 times negative 8 would be negative 80 times negative 1, and negative 80 times negative 1 is positive 80. So when you're multiplying, it doesn't matter in what order you multiply.